Chapter 7. A Bad Night in Town. At 7 o'clock the next morning, the phone rang in Christina's flat. It rang many times before Christina answered. She took a long time to wake up. "Hello? Who is it?" she asked at last. "Christina, it's me, Danielle. Are you okay? You didn't phone me back yesterday. Is everything all right?" "Well, I'm fine, but I don't like this feeling that somebody is trying to hurt me." "That's why I'm phoning you. Do you want to go to the police with your story?" "I don't think so. I know I saw the man in the gym who pushed the weight, but I don't think I could tell the police what he looks like. I don't know him." "Okay," Danielle said, "but I'm worried about you, Christina. Would you like to come to the club tonight and talk about it?" "I'm sorry. I have to go out, but I can probably come to see you quickly after work," Christina said. "Okay. See you later, then," Danielle answered. "Thanks for thinking of me." Christina meant it. Danielle was very kind to her. Christina got ready and walked to the museum. She arrived a few minutes before 8:30, but it was not quiet. The museum was full of life. Christina sat in her office for a moment. 3 people looked in through the door at her. "Hi, Christina. Great talk yesterday." "Everything's going really well, Christina." "Hi, Chris. Good luck today." There were smiling faces and kind words everywhere. She heard Philippe Maudet's voice outside her office and went out to meet him. Christina and Philippe spent another day in meetings. After lunch, Philippe showed the museum directors photographs of the paintings he wanted to bring to Buenos Aires. He had a photograph of the painting with the red poppies, the same painting that Christina had in her office and her bedroom. Christina took the photograph in her hand. Suddenly she felt cold and sick. She didn't know why. This was her favorite painting. It was strange that it was making her feel like this. She passed it quickly to the person on her left. At 5:30, Philippe turned to Christina and said, "How about our walk around the city? Is it still okay?" "Yes, of course. Do you need to go back to your hotel? I could meet you there if you want," said Christina. "No, there's no need. Let's go now," answered Philippe. He took his jacket and followed Christina out of her office. The 2 of them left the museum and walked down Avenida del Libertador. Christina showed Philippe the Recoleta Cemetery. She told him the story of General San Martin, who was the Libertador, the man who made Argentina free. "And there, above the buildings and the trees, you can see the top of the English Tower," Christina said. "It's the same as Big Ben in London. The British people who lived in Buenos Aires gave the tower to the city in 1910. Philippe smiled. "You'll want a tower like the Eiffel Tower from me before I leave," Philippe said. "No, I'll be happy with 37 Impressionist paintings." Christina smiled, and they walked on down the Avenida. As they walked, Christina decided to stop at the gym so that she could talk to Danielle quickly. Then they could get a taxi and drive around the center a little. They could drive to Plaza de Mayo and see the famous buildings there, then come back to have a drink in a bar in the Plaza San Martin. After that, they could walk on to the new area of Puerto Madero. She wanted to take Philippe to the restaurant where her father took her on the day she got the job at the museum. Then, after dinner, they could go to San Telmo and see a tango show at El Viejo Almacén. She couldn't let Felipe leave without hearing the real music of Argentina. Soon they were outside the Recoleta Health Club. "This is the gym I go to," Christina explained to Felipe. "I had an accident in here 2 days ago, and I need to talk to the manager for just a minute. Do you mind if we go in for a moment?" Christina asked Felipe. "That's fine. I'd be interested to see inside," said Felipe. They went in and walked past Florencia, the receptionist. She smiled at Christina, but stopped Felipe. "Excuse me," she said. "I need to see your club card, if you don't mind." "He's a friend of mine," said Christina. "We just wanted to talk to Danielle for a moment." "I'm sorry." "That's okay," said Florencia, and she phoned Danielle's office to tell him he had visitors. Christina found Danielle and introduced him to Felipe. They talked for a moment about the gym and their jobs. Then Danielle turned to Christina. "I wanted to show you the names of people who came here in the last few days. The only problem is that we don't have the names of the people who bought day tickets." Christina looked at the names, but there was nobody she knew. "I'm sure I don't know the man," she said. "I didn't see him clearly, but I'm sure I don't know him." "Okay," said Danielle. "Florencia isn't sure either, but I'll talk to some more people. Maybe somebody else saw this man." "Thanks, Danielle," said Christina. "I'll see you soon." "Nice to meet you," Felipe said to Danielle. Danielle shook his hand and smiled. "And you," he said. Danielle watched the two of them leave. He would like to be with someone tonight, and thought about his girlfriend back in Rosario. Christina and Felipe walked out of the front door of the gym together. "Let's get a taxi to the Plaza de Mayo from here," said Christina. "Okay, and on the way you must tell me more about this accident," said Felipe. "It sounds like a strange story." They stopped at the side of the road to look for a taxi. There were always black and yellow taxis around, but sometimes it was difficult for them to stop in the heavy traffic. Suddenly, an old Peugeot 504, which was parked on Avenida del Libertador, started and drove towards them. Christina was looking for a taxi when she saw the Peugeot coming right at them. She shouted and pulled Felipe back from the road, but it was too late. The car hit Felipe and then drove away along the Avenida. Chapter 8. Getting Help. An hour later, Christina was sitting on a chair in Felipe's hospital room. She was listening to the doctor, who was talking to Felipe. The doctor told Felipe that he was lucky. His leg was badly cut, but not broken. The doctor's words gave Christina a strange feeling. When she was in the hospital, the doctor had used the same word. Lucky. She stood up and looked out of the window. The street below looked the same as on any other day. "Is it me?" she thought. "Is it bad luck, or is somebody really trying to hurt me?" The doctor left, and Christina said, "It wasn't a great evening in the city, I'm afraid. How are you feeling?" There was no color in Felipe's face. "I'm okay," he said quietly. He drank a little water from the glass by his bed. He looked at Christina and tried to smile. "I'm not sure why, But I don't think that was really an accident, he said. Christina agreed. I've got a bad feeling, too. We'll talk about it later. You must rest now. Is there anybody you want me to phone for you? Don't worry. I'll phone the museum in Paris in the morning, Philippe said. Christina wanted to kiss Philippe. His sad face looked so beautiful. She was falling in love, and she knew it. But first, she had to find out what was happening, why someone wanted to kill her and to stop them. She needed to speak to Daniel. She walked quietly out of the room and went to look for the nearest phone box. Christina now felt that things were different. She could believe that she had had one accident in the gym, but now this? She tried to think. Why would somebody want to kill her? She wasn't rich. She had no problems at work. She didn't know many people in the city center. Why her? She put some money into the phone and called the gym. Hi, Florencia. It's Christina. Can I speak to Danielle, please? Of course, Florencia said. Hi, Christina. Danielle speaking. Hello, Danielle. I'm sorry to phone you like this, but I need your help. Did you see the accident outside the gym? My friend was hurt. Somebody tried to kill us in a car. This time I'm sure. They drove straight at us. I'm at the hospital now. Philippe's hurt, but nothing's broken. Wait. What happened? Danielle asked. He sounded worried. I didn't see anything. I can't believe it. Are you sure somebody tried to kill you? I know it's true this time. I'm sorry, Danielle. I need help. I'm really afraid now, said Christina. Okay, Christina. Just tell me where you are, and I'll come and find you. Then we'll decide what to do next. Christina gave him the name of the hospital and thanked him. Her hands felt cold and dry. She wanted to cry, but she stopped herself. She went back to Philippe's room. Daniel put down the phone, but then he picked it up again. He phoned a friend of his cousin's, who was a policeman. Daniel knew him quite well, because he came to the gym twice a week. Daniel told the policeman the story about Christina. He then told him that he was now going to get Christina from the hospital and take her to the police station. The policeman thought for a moment and then asked him to change his plans. He told Daniel to take Christina home. He believed that the man who wanted to kill her could try to follow her. Daniel agreed. He left his office and drove to the hospital. In the hospital car park, Roberto and Carlos were sitting in a car talking. They knew that Christina was in the hospital. They had followed the ambulance there and seen her get out with the man who hurt his leg. This time we'll get her, Roberto said. Carlos was getting more and more afraid. He wanted to leave the city and drive towards the north of Argentina. They had a cousin who lived in Tucumán, 1,300 kilometers north of Buenos Aires. They could stay with him. But Roberto didn't want to leave until he knew Christina was dead. The police will find her, Carlos, and she'll talk. Or maybe she has already talked to them, and they are looking for us now. If we're in Buenos Aires, they'll find us. Too many people know us. Somebody will talk. Carlos knew his brother was right, but he was afraid. So what do we do now, Roberto? How can we kill her? We have to follow her and kill her with a gun. We'll wait for her here. Then, when she comes out, we'll follow her and we'll kill her. It doesn't have to look like an accident. We'll be quick. Nobody will see us. We'll just kill her. I don't think I can do that, said Carlos quietly. No. You drive the car. I'll do it. She has to leave this place at some time. We'll sit here until she does. The brothers didn't see Daniel's car as he drove into the car park, but they saw Cristina. She came out of the front door of the hospital and ran towards Daniel. The two of them went back inside the hospital. "Come on, let's go and see Philippe and tell him where we'll be," said Daniel. "Where will we be?" asked Cristina. "With the police." "You're a good friend, Daniel," Cristina said as they walked to Philippe's room. Daniel was like a family friend. Cristina couldn't believe it. In a very short time, 2 men had come into her life. One was now a very good friend, and the other? She must wait and see. Philippe looked a little better when they returned. He even smiled a little. "Hi, Philippe," Daniel said. "I'm so sorry about the accident. I'm just going to take Cristina to talk to the police. I think she needs to tell them her story." Philippe agreed. "I'll go back to the hotel as soon as I can. Don't come back here. It could be dangerous. I'll leave you a message when I'm back in my hotel room." "Be careful, Philippe. I'll come to the hotel when I hear from you," Cristina said. "I'll be okay. You be careful, too. I'll need you to look after my paintings," said Philippe. Chapter 9. Remembering Everything. Cristina got into Daniel's car. "We're going to the police, are we? Which police station?" she asked. "We're going to your flat," Daniel replied. "The police will be there. They are hoping that the person who tried to kill you will follow us. They want to get him. We'll go down Avenida del Libertador." Daniel drove the car out of the hospital car park, but he didn't see the blue Peugeot leave the car park behind them. Daniel turned into Avenida del Libertador. The blue Peugeot turned into the same road a few seconds later and moved to the left-hand side. Cristina looked around her. She couldn't believe that less than a month before, she was riding her motorbike down this avenida every morning and every evening without a care in the world. Now she had no motorbike and lots of problems. Daniel drove slowly through the heavy traffic. There were a lot of people around as usual. Many of them were on their way to have dinner in the restaurants of Recoleta. People in Buenos Aires never really have dinner before 10 o'clock in the evening, and the city center was busy until at least 3 o'clock in the morning. All the traffic lights were red. It was always the same. She looked at Daniel beside her. He looked tired and worried. He wanted to get Cristina to the police quickly. He slowed down at some traffic lights as they were changing to red. Cristina turned her head and looked into the car next to them. She saw 2 men. The man who was driving the car was looking at the road in front of him. The man sitting next to him looked out of the window at Cristina. She looked into his eyes, and she couldn't look away. She looked into the dark brown eyes of that man, and for a moment he looked back. Then he turned his head, and she saw the tattoo of the red poppy on his neck. Suddenly, Christina remembered everything. She remembered the eyes of the man and the red flower on his neck, the poppy. She remembered the car and the sound of the police cars. She knew that these were the same men who had tried to kill her in the gym. The same men who had driven their car at Philippe. And then she remembered the gun. The same gun that the man was picking up now. The same man, the same gun. The same red flowers in the field of the painting she loved. "Go, Danielle! Move! He's got a gun! He's going to kill us!" she shouted. Danielle drove through the red light and on down the Avenida. The other car followed. Danielle didn't have much time to think. He drove along the Avenida as fast as he could. "What shall I do?" he asked Christina. "Turn into Calle Montevideo. We'll go past my flat. That's what the police wanted. I'm sure they'll be there," answered Christina. The Peugeot was still following them. Danielle turned into Calle Montevideo. Christina saw the two light and dark blue police cars parked across the road near her flat. "Slow down, Danielle. Stop here. It's okay. We'll be okay." Danielle stopped the car suddenly and pushed Christina down onto the floor of the car. The Peugeot behind was going so fast that Carlos couldn't stop it. He tried, but the car turned right and left and right again. Then it hit one of the police cars and turned over. There was a lot of noise. People were shouting. Christina wanted to look out, but Danielle said, "Stay there. It could still be dangerous." After another long minute, it was quiet, and two policemen came to open the door of Danielle's car. "You can come out now. It's safe," one of them said. Then they heard the sound of an ambulance. It came into the street and stopped near the Peugeot. Christina stood still. She didn't want to watch, but she couldn't stop herself. The police pulled a body from the Peugeot. Christina couldn't see if the man was alive or dead, but she could see the blood. Men carried the body to the ambulance. When the door was closed, the ambulance drove off to the hospital. Christina could see the other man, the man without the tattoo of the poppy, sitting in the police car. 6 months later, Christina was standing in the main room in the museum. It was the first night of the Impressionist exhibition. She was wearing a short black dress, and her dark hair fell around her shoulders. Music was playing. Christina looked around. Her parents were there, talking together and drinking champagne. Daniel was there with his girlfriend from Rosario. After a few minutes, the music stopped, and everybody was quiet. They all stopped talking. Leonardo Martinez, the museum director, started to talk. "Ladies and gentlemen, I am so pleased to welcome you to this important Impressionist exhibition. We have never before had this number of Impressionist paintings in Buenos Aires." Christina felt a hand on her arm. She knew that hand. It was Philippe. He had come back to Buenos Aires often while they were organizing the exhibition, and they had spent a lot of time together. Philippe spoke quietly in Christina's ear. "It's really happening. Your parents and friends are here. The paintings are here. Monet's poppies are here. And we're here together to see them too." "I know. It's wonderful. I wish you and your paintings could stay here forever." No, I have to go home. But I want to ask you something. When I take my paintings home, will you come with me?" Christina smiled at him with love in her eyes and nodded her head.